Hey, kids, how would you like to hear this on the screen instead of the great show you came to see? That's what you sound like. Honest. Please cooperate and do your part in keeping this theater quiet so everyone, including you, can enjoy it.
What is up, everybody? Happy Casual Friday from us at DNVR. Welcome to the DNBA Live Show. I'm your host, Adam Mares. I'm joined by the man with the wind in his hair, Harrison Wind.
No wind in your hair. Hat on Casual Friday, I guess, huh?
It's very casual. I'm very casual. Don't even have pants on, believe it or not.
I believe
Today's show, just the two of us. Me and Harrison, we're going to be inviting guests on. If you're a member of DNVR, the link is in the lounge. In the Nuggets channel of the lounge, so you can come on and join us and talk about today's topics with us. And our topics are interesting. The amnesty provision, it might be making a comeback with the times that we are in, the financial times that the NBA finds themselves in. We might be in a situation where teams can use an amnesty provision. Maybe there's going to be players made available because of the amnesty provision. We're going to talk about both of those. And then in the final segment, we're going to talk about the coolest. We're going to send you off into the weekend talking about the coolest NBA players ever. You can start sending us your list in the comments, or you can hop on the show and come tell us which ones. We have our list. We each have our list, but we're going to want to hear from you guys as well. But before any of that, Harrison, first of all, how you doing, man, on this Friday?
I'm good, man. Like, I had a great Memorial Day weekend. The holiday weekend was awesome, but
What'd you do?
went hiking up in Boulder.
Overrated, according to our colleague Ken James.
Yeah, it's completely wrong. Very underrated, but got back up to Boulder, went hiking.
Back to the
Yeah,
roots.
like that's one of the coolest activities we can do right now. I feel like just getting outside and enjoying the outdoors. So that was awesome.
Did you bump into Jokic by chance? He's been hiking a lot, I hear.
No, but me and a couple buddies who still live in Boulder from the college days, we have a few of our go-to trails that, aren't so popular. Like, the trails in Boulder are just absolutely packed.
The deep cut. The Boulder people know.
The deep cut hiking trails. The trails in Boulder by Chautauqua were just absolutely packed every weekend. So you got to know where you're going in the times that we're in.
I was up camping, which was great. It's like my favorite activity to do. I'm a big camper, and it was gorgeous, and it was just nice to be like around people in a socially distanced outdoor environment.
Yeah,
so it was really nice.
So do you camp in the regulated camping sites, or do you go off the grid?
Almost never. Yeah, I'm off the grid. Dispersed camping is the technical term, but yeah. Got our trailer, we got our dogs, we actually, I would say if 10 is living inside of a cabin, our camping is an 8.5, maybe a 9. I got camping down to a science. So actually, I should credit my wife. She has it down to a science. She has it very comfortable.
Well, only the real Colorado campers go off the grid like that. All those campsites, those are for the fakes.
It's for the noobs.
Those are for the fakes.
Ask it. I've got a trailer, like a pool trailer, so neither an RV or a tent. I guess closer to an RV than a tent. I was listening to Bomani as I was driving around earlier this morning, and he was talking about the Tom Brady. This was from a couple days ago, but he was talking about the Tom Brady playing golf and how athletes are just good at it's funny how athletes can translate their skill sets into almost anything.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this. I doubt Jokic is good at golf. I wouldn't be shocked if he was. But
it's tough to be above 6'7" and be good at golf. I feel like it just doesn't work the same way.
Probably 6'3", to be honest with you. What's the tallest good golfer? People in the comments could probably tell me.
I don't know. I've got no idea how tall any golfer is. I feel like they're all just around the same height.
We need Arcade to chime in on this. He should know. He's our golf
Dustin Johnson.
expert.
I feel like he could be pretty tall.
You could say any name right now, and I'd be like, yeah, it sounds like a golfer.
Don't they just all feel like they're around
Gary Jones?
5'10" to 6'1"?
Yeah, exactly. So, and you imagine, I've only played a handful of times. I always rent clubs, but I always feel like I'm hunched over and playing mini golf. So I imagine most tall people, you have custom clubs and everything. But we do know this about Jokic. He's just good at stuff. Remember when they were playing spike ball and he was awesome at that? I know he plays some tennis at the park. I do think there's something to this. The hand-eye coordination just gets refined in one sport, and it translates into everything that requires hand-eye coordination.
I've got to think he'd be a super accurate golfer. Maybe he doesn't have the power Maybe he doesn't
You
have
don't
like
think
the
Jokic has the power?
I feel like he'd be just I feel like he'd just be an accurate golfer, just like a right down the middle of the fairway, good closest to the pin player.
I think bad putter. That's probably his. That's where he falls apart.
Yeah, but no, yeah, he was great in the ping pong tournament.
Oh,
like I
that's
feel
right.
like he's great at every video game. He's obviously good at League of Legends, FIFA, 2K. I feel like he could pick it up if he wanted to.
Same with MPJ. I was blown away with MPJ. I mean, his first introduction to Denver was him hustling kids out of shoes, which is going to be it's an all-timer. An all-time, like...
Hell of a way to make an entrance.
That was a hell of an entrance. But I just remember, like, some of the guys he was beating were like, man, I win tournaments. I'm, like, the best. None of my friends could beat me, and this dude just, like, destroyed me. So I think there's something to it, man. These guys are just good at stuff.
NBA players, I mean, they are elite at their craft. And it's not by accident, you know? Like they've put in the work. They obviously have some natural talent, but they've all put it in the work for the most part. So that could probably be applied to a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, so let's get into our topic of discussion today. This is maybe like 2 weeks old, but, you know, the NBA is going to lose a lot of money. And when I say a lot of money, I guess it's all relative, but they're going to lose a decent chunk of what they were expecting coming into the year. And one of the ways that, you know, it's going to affect the salary cap, it's going to affect teams' financials. I mean, some owners have leveraged themselves quite a bit to purchase and build arenas and do all these different things. So one of the things that has been tossed out as a potential sort of, not solution, but part of a solution was to bring back the amnesty clause and say, like, okay, teams can amnesty a player, which means you pay them their full salary. The Players Association would never let you do like what football does and just say, oh, yeah, that contract you signed, we'd nullify it. So you'd have to pay them, but you can stretch it out over multiple years, and it comes off the books. The most important thing is it comes off your salary cap, so you're not paying, like, tax on it. And basically it's an opportunity for teams to be like, okay, let's reset. This contract that we had is not a great one, or, you know, it's going to cost us a lot of money and handicap us for years so we can get rid of it. So the question is, Harrison, if this were to happen, first and foremost, who are the candidates that the Nuggets might even consider for an amnesty?
So I actually looked up who they used the amnesty on last time around just for fun. They used it on Birdman. Birdman was owed $4.5 million in 2013 and $4.8 million in 2014. They used the amnesty on him, so got him off the books. I don't think they had really any like god awful contracts that they wanted to get rid of, or they must not have, to use it on him.
Yeah, when was this? What year?
2013. They used it, or
Yeah.
before the 2013 season. So,
Man, that's crazy. I feel like it was more recent than that.
yeah.
Doesn't it feel like it's a recent thing?
It does. It does. The most likely candidate, and like the first thing is the Nuggets don't have a ton of candidates because they have guys getting paid a lot of money and then guys getting paid very, very little money, not a lot of in between, it seems like.
Right.
Gary Harris seems like really maybe the only candidate. I mean, he's getting paid $19 million next year, $20.5 million the year after that. But the thing about Gary is I feel like he still has a little bit of trade value, no? And usually you want to use amnesties on guys who don't have any trade value and you have no way of getting rid of him. I mean, Gary, he's still a positive player for them, I think. But he would probably be the only possible amnesty guy.
Yeah, I'm with you. I saw somebody in the comments say maybe Jamal. No chance, Jamal. I mean, first of all, he's like, the Nuggets are all in on him. There's 5 years. You don't pay him $150 million amnesty. You might pay a little bit of amnesty, but you're not going to pay $150 million for a guy not to play.
Right. That's the thing. Like this guy goes away for good. You don't get to use him at all. Like you're paying him all this money to go away. Like Jamal is the second best player, or arguably the second best player, or the second most important player on a contending team.
Yeah, I think. So Gary Harris. Oh, my daughter wants to come on the show.
Bring her on.
No, but I think with Gary, yeah, like so, it's crazy because he is the most confusing player I think I've covered with the Nuggets. In that, I was all in on Gary Harris 2 years ago. Just like I thought, oh my God, this guy gets better every year. Everything he does is so valuable. He's a Jokic player, this and that. And the last 2 years have been so inconceivable to me. Like, I honestly don't know what to make. His shot looks different. He doesn't get to the rim. He doesn't, like, finish with all these great moves that often. He guards really well. I mean, he's a better defender, I think, than he was 2 years ago. But I just don't know what to make of it. And if it was 1 year or 1.5 years, I guess it has only been 1.5 years technically, but I think I would be a little bit gun shy. But I think if you look at it and you go, okay, the Nuggets have Jamal Murray on a max, they've got Jokic on a max, they're probably going to need to bring somebody else in at some point. Maybe you do just get cut bait with Gary at some point. Maybe maybe not this season, but at the end of next season or something like that. You Amnesty. So I could see it happening. He's the only guy that I think it's even possible.
Yeah, probably, because I mean, Will Barton, he's on the books for 2 more years, $14 million next year. He's got a player option for around $15 million the year after that. Still a pretty good contract for Will Barton, and that's very tradable as well, I think, if you wanted to do that. It's funny, I was going back and watching our Gary Harris player preview video from this season, and we were all in. We were absolutely all in.
I called him. I said he was going to be the best or second best player on the team through 1 month. Like, he was just going to come out the gate just blazing.
Because, I mean, we chalked up last year to the fact that it was just injuries, you know?
Yeah.
And, I mean, this year he's been pretty healthy as far as we know, and he just hasn't had it.
This comment here is so funny. He says, thank you there, Van Wilder. The one from Bucket, he says Gary should bulk up again. I think it's funny because this year we was all excited that he lost weight. Like, it's one of those things where 365 days ago we were all like, you know what, maybe he needs to lose weight and be quicker and leaner, and that's why he keeps getting hurt. He loses the weight and it's just like same thing. So I agree. Like, I understand the thought and the perspective. I don't know. I honest to God don't understand what happened to Gary Harris. Yeah. I don't know.
What I think maybe we do talk about is defense, but it shouldn't be glossed over that this was by far his best defensive year ever.
Absolutely.
You know, he was like a borderline All-NBA guy defensively probably, and his offense dropped off for a second straight year, but he was great defensively this year. Like way better than he was last year.
Yeah. He was a legitimate defensive lockdown guy. So, I mean, I think in years past it was like he has his moments, he does this or that. But this year, I mean, he had some really high-profile matchups and performances on the defensive end. So I get it. Is there any other names that you could even throw out? Like, would Barton get an amnesty? I don't think so. I mean, he's more valuable than he's as valuable as his contract at least.
Yeah, and there's not even anybody in like the $3 to $6 million range that's on Denver's books like a Birdman was in back in 2013.
Yeah,
that you would even think about. What do you think Gary's trade value is right now? Because I feel like he's got a little bit of value, and you know he still helps you in some areas. So that's why I don't think he's like a lock to get amnestied if they did have this rule in place. But like, what do you think his trade value is right now?
So he's 25 years old, and actually almost 26. He'll turn 26 here in 2 months by the start of what would have been next season. So it's tough. I think that he's a guy that probably doesn't have great trade value, but I could see him having a strong year or even a strong 2/3 of a year all the way to an All-Star break, and then his trade value is equal to his contract, where a team's like, okay, he's back on the upswing. He plays lockdown defense. He can knock down the three. Worth the contract. You don't have to throw in assets. But right now, I think it's probably a negative value. With 2 years left, I think it's probably one of those things where it's like you package him with something, you know, him and Bol or so, you know, so him and a first or something to get a team to give back what would be equal on-court value.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. If I'm a opposing team, though, I could probably talk myself into Gary Harris, though. Like you said, 25, has shown he can shoot the ball before. Unselfish player, can fit into a system. Great locker room guy too.
Yeah.
And I feel like that could be a value if you're like a rebuilding team that's on the rise. You want a guy like Gary Harris in your locker room. And obviously great defensively too. So I'm with you on maybe the slightly negative value on the trade market, but you can probably talk yourself into him.
Yeah. This one's a tough one. So Matt Moore says Gary, Barton, and picks, as in multiple picks for Drew Holiday. And I'm just on record saying, look, you keep MPJ, you keep Jokic, you keep Jamal Murray in this deal. You give up a lot of like flexibility. You kind of that's your all-in move. And look, that might be it. I honestly don't know. That might be the move that gets Denver over the hump. I just feel like if you said gun to your head, does that team win a championship in this like 2-year window that you have? I don't know. I mean, they have better odds than they do now, but I don't know.
I think it definitely raises your ceiling a little bit, but that's your future. You're right. Like, that's the future you're tying yourself to. Drew's under contract for a couple more years. You're giving out a couple first-round picks. You better know that that's the team that can get it done.
It might get it done, though. If you think about the worry about Drew is that he doesn't shoot the ball well. But if your lineup is MPJ, Jokic, Grant, and Murray, that's 4 elite shooters. You can afford to have one okay shooter. Teams aren't going to leave Drew Holiday wide open.
Yeah, and the other thing you got to think about is if Drew is not the guy, who is? Is that guy out there? Is Beal gettable? Is there even another guy out there that could be gettable over the next year? So I don't know.
You always keep sit here thinking you got to save your assets to go all in for a Giannis or something. It's come on, those guys never are available to Denver.
Right.
So what are we talking about here? So we have an MPJ off the bench. Get out of here. I'm not taking any comments with MPJ off the bench today. Why don't we roll into a first break, and then on the other side we can look at some of the players around the league that could be Amnesty that could help Denver.
Yeah, so we got the Nuggets Invitational this weekend on WGT.
Do we have our graphic for that? Where is that? I can't wait for this Nuggets Invitational. I'm hyped.
I can't wait either. These tournaments have been super fun. I always get really amped up for them. Maybe do a couple practice rounds beforehand, try to get in rhythm, and then log on to the tournament. But if you're not on WGT, download it from DNVRgolf.com, and then all you got to do is search for the DNVR Clubhouse. That's so you can get in the Nuggets Invitational this weekend.
Can't wait. What do you think you're going to shoot?
Also, guys, if you are... what am I going to shoot? I won the first WGT event. Was terrible in the closest to the pin.
I think the winner's going to be 10 over on this.
What is it? Is it all par
9
fours?
holes.
Do we know?
No, I don't know. Just toughest holes.
Man, I feel like if I could shoot an even, that'd be a winning score.
For sure.
If I can shoot even. And while you're playing WGT, crack open a Mile High City Copper Lager from Breck Brew. You can get it from Davidson's, one of our partners. Delicious beer. It's super light. You can drink a lot of them. Perfect for golf, I think.
Yeah.
So pick one of those up from Breck Brew or Davidson's. They have curbside pickup and delivery as well.
We have a very special guest waiting in the wings here. I'm very excited about. Ali, you can bring him in. The homie, one of the OGs, one of our main followers, all the way from Serbia. The homie Miroslav. What's happening?
Double down from Serbia.
How's it going, man? Good to see you.
Pretty good. I just isolated myself from my kids 2 doors behind, so hopefully the sound will not break here.
I'm trying to do the same thing.
Doing,
my kids keep running in as well. So what city are you calling in from?
I actually live in Pančevo, which is a small town very near Belgrade, half an hour drive from Belgrade. So enjoying the small town life, because Belgrade is a hellhole at the moment. The traffic is completely
Is it really?
terrible. So yeah.
Yeah, I think most cities around the world, it's unfortunately at the moment this way. Now I have to ask you, because we've been calling you the homie Miroslav for so long. Is your actual name Ćuk? Isn't that the pronunciation
it's Ćuk.
Ćuk? Oh,
Ćuk.
okay.
It is Ćuk. Ćuk, yes. Ćuk.
Okay, Ćuk. All right.
Yeah.
Well, how do you prefer to be called?
Serbian is. My foreign friends usually call me Miro because it is the easiest way, But
Okay.
I have like dozen nicknames locally, so Miro is the easiest one.
Can you explain to us, because I've had this explained 5 times, but I always forget. Somebody told me that Nikola Jokic's nickname is actually Johnny, the way in Serbian there's this way
Yes.
to make a nickname, and it doesn't make
Yes.
sense.
Johnny.
Yes, it's because normal short for Nikola is Nijo. Nijo,
Okay.
and when you reverse the syllables, you get Johnny.
Oh, okay.
So it's supposed to sound English, to be cool. So yeah, Johnny is pretty. The other nickname we use for Nikola is Joka, which is short for Jokic. Joka. And my younger kid, his name is Jovan, so I can call him Joka because my wife didn't agree on calling him Nikola, so I had to go with Jovan, so he's Joka.
How popular is Jokic in Serbia right now? I mean, like, is he everybody's favorite basketball player?
Well, yes. Actually, there are only two guys in Serbia that everybody's really hyped about. It's Novak Djokovic and Nikola Jokic. So every day, if you look at the sport pages on different internet sites or in the newspaper, every day you have one article about Nikola and about Novak. So this is why actually your tweet about Inat came right away to the Serbian media, because nothing is happening really. So when anybody decent from US tweets anything about Nikola or Serbia or whatever, it just goes straight to the media.
People that don't know this. So somebody posted a screenshot of Djokovic being down in matches, like terribly down, and somebody said he wins all 4 of these matches. How did he do it or something? And I just quote tweeted it with Inat, and apparently it made it into the Serbian papers. Just that tweet. There was like a little write up on it. And I thought that was so funny.
Yeah, it's really cool because we are not used to have such intense coverage of anybody. It's just starting, in Serbia. We don't have really podcasts that have a lot of people listening to every day and so on. So it's really kind of cool for us junkies, just to have an everyday fix of sport, and especially Nuggets and Nikola Jokic. So yeah,
that's awesome. So
that's really cool. This is why we really appreciate you guys.
That's so awesome. Now tell me, did you get to read the article on Sports Illustrated by Robert O'Connell yesterday that was talking about Jokic and the Serbian way of basketball? Did you get a chance to read that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's an excellent article. It's of course not long enough to fulfill all my expectations of such article, but it's great. It's really hits some of the really important stuff, about Professor Aco Nikolic and other great coaches from Serbia. Actually, this is the main thing that keeps Serbia spinning in basketball, is those great basketball minds, meaning coaches. So you had Aco Nikolic, then you have Ranko Žeravica, then you have Krešimir Ćosić. He's a guy from Croatia, a wonderful coach. He died pretty young, unfortunately. And then we had Duda Ivković, Željko Obradović, Boža Maljković, and nowadays we have Igor Kokoškov, who is 50-50 US and Serbian coach, really, because he's living in the US for the long time.
Why do you think he struggled in the NBA as the head coach? I mean, he was in a pretty tough organization, but just 1 year.
Yeah, I know. I mean, if you get a junk franchise like Phoenix Suns, I think they changed like 10 coaches in 10 or 12 seasons.
Yeah,
it's just crazy. A really bad organization.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a chance. I mean, I understand why he took it, but next time, I believe, I just talked to a friend today about it. I think next time Igor will get the chance to coach an NBA team will be after the Olympics next year, when Serbia wins the gold medal. Then yeah, I think somebody from the NBA will call him then.
Is he? I forgot this news already, but he's the head coach now, right? They just replaced. He's
he is
head coach. Okay.
Yeah, he is, and unfortunately, he only had a chance to coach in 2 qualification games for the European Championship, which is in 2 years. Or who knows, actually. Who knows when it will happen.
There are also, of course, those rumors that Michael Malone could join the Serbian team as an advisor, so we'll see if that still happens.
That is a very, very smart thing. I would really like if he was already in the team in prior years, but what you gonna do?
Well, it was.
I guess Igor has
I think
enough
he
connections
was sort
to make
of
something
confirmed.
like that.
He just didn't want to confirm it. Like, it was a really weird thing where reliable sources were reporting that he was an assistant, and when asked about it, he said nothing's final yet. So, to me, it sounds like probably something was, but I don't know. And now with how chaotic the world has been since that moment, maybe that's changed. But
yeah.
do you think
no news about that? Yeah.
Do you think Kokoshkov would make? I mean, he's probably overqualified for this, but if he were to become an assistant for Denver, even if it was only for 1 year while he was waiting to maybe get a head coaching job again, how do you think he would transform Denver's team?
I believe that he would help the rest of the coaching team understand Nikola better. Although I believe coaching team in Denver is doing a great thing with Nikola, really, and that's probably because they have Ogi Stojakovic there as well, which is quite important. Because Nikola, this is my opinion. I don't know Nikola. I mean, I'm just speculating. I think Nikola is quite lonely in the U.S. You know, he's not running to Sombor every summer by accident. You know, he just loves the small town he is from. So when he has those friendly, not friendly, but faces he can speak in Serbian to every day. It's
I like that you corrected, not friendly.
No, I mean everybody is friendly. I'm sure that everybody is friendly, but if he would have a fellow Serbian there.
Well, that's also probably why it's been so important that he's had his brothers here and girlfriend for the entire time that he's been here. I mean, that's been crucial now.
Well, not the entire time. Do you remember? I don't remember when it was. Maybe the beginning of his second season when his brother wasn't in town and he was in a bit of a rut and some things, and it was speculated about exactly that. Maybe it's his brothers aren't that important to him. Their absence is maybe affecting him.
I mean, especially now.
Yeah, I read
now he's at home all day. Thank God.
I read a good article about his brothers because his brothers, actually the older brother Strahinja, he's a good friend of Darko Milicic, and he's been with Darko during his tenure in Detroit and later on.
I think the younger one.
Or the younger one, sorry. So the thing is, he was really thinking about Nikola not making the same mistakes that Darko did, because Darko was a great player. Trust me, guys. He's not, just some fake star from Europe. He was a really great guy, but he just wasn't committed to training. Yeah. And things get into his head. And now he's a farmer. He's really happy about it. He has a huge land in the north of Serbia, and he's really happy just farming, just producing food for everybody. So he's actually a nice guy.
So tell me a little bit then, if you have insight about this article. So one of the things I found really interesting was when they were talking about sort of a philosophy behind the way that they teach basketball in all of the Balkans. There's all of those states that it's about you don't have a position until you're older. So like everybody has to learn every single piece of it, and then you get funneled into positions much later in life. I think that's definitely not true here in the U.S. and this was my experience too as a player. I was always a big, so I was always working on big man things, and it was just like they even have big man camps where it's like, oh yeah, the point guard camp, the big man camp, and some of these guys are 14 years old, 13 years old, so you don't know if they're going to be a big or you don't know.
Yeah, and there is another thing that's really interesting in the young time when boys are starting playing basketball at 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, there are organized leagues for these boys, of course. And one thing that is absolutely forbidden in these games is a zone defense. In Europe, everybody is studying zone defense from day one because, that's FIBA rules. It works fine. But actually, it kills creativity, because if you're against a double team all the time, you will not create enough imagination. So that's one thing. I remember Tony Parker was talking about this like 10 years ago. He was mad because French kids were just put into this zone defense nightmares from day one. They couldn't develop because they have excellent physical talent that if they would develop the basketball IQ and everything, they would be unstoppable. Because Serbs, the only thing they have is height. Serbs are very tall people, especially people from Herzegovina. It's a part of Bosnia where a lot. Actually, if you look at the team from Croatia and from Serbia, 80% of all of those guys are from Herzegovina.
They
it's
hail
crazy.
from Herzegovina. Huh.
Yeah, it's a small part of Bosnia with huge people. So it's.
Interesting.
I'm actually from Herzegovina. I'm not tall. I'm like 5'10". But yeah, my grandfather was born in Herzegovina. But thank you, Grandpa. Nothing from you. Yeah, so.
Is there are there variations in style of basketball between Croatia and Serbia and Bosnia and the different states?
Now this might sound arrogant, but the main difference is actually the coaches. The coaches are making the difference, and what I've heard from media from Croatia, the biggest problem of Croatian team, which didn't win a medal since like '95, is because they never have good point guards or playmakers in general. You have Bojan Bogdanovic. He's a wonderful shooter, but Bojan Bogdanovic averages like one assist per game. He is a pure shooter. I was listening to Andy Bailey about Bojan Bogdanovic. He's a pure bucket. So he makes a game of 30 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 everything. Just points.
He has one of those games, right? He has a game with like 25 points, 0.
Oh, he's famous for it, and he's great. If he would play next to Nikola Jokic, man, I mean, that would be awesome. And
could you make the all-Balkan team around Jokic? Like, who would be the best Jokic team using just players from the Balkans?
Yeah, well, playmaker would be Miloš Teodosic.
Yeah,
because he's a genius. He doesn't play any defense, but if you score 140 points, who cares?
Yeah.
So at the 2 would be Bogdan Bogdanovic.
At the
3, I would try to put in Bojan Bogdan. I would try to put Bojan Bogdanovic at the 3, even though he's kind of a tweener right now.
Yeah.
Right.
And at the 4, I don't know. I would have to put Nemanja Bjelica at the 4 because he's also a great playmaker. So if you have 4 playmakers in your starting 5 and Bojan Bogdanovic is a pure bucket getter, then
you would score a lot.
That would be a great team.
I'm just imagining how beautiful the offensive basketball would be with that team. Like, just imagine the unselfishness, the shooting, the passing, the skill. That'd be a joy.
Yeah.
I think just Teodosic and Jokic, just those two. And then actually Bogdanovic, too. I think Bjelica is an underrated defender. I don't know that you win a championship with him as your power forward, but he's not like...
Oh, he's good. He's good.
He's very, very smart.
He's dirty. He's dirty, He does the dirty work. So, yeah. He is as good as you can be as, a pale Balkan guy on defense.
It was interesting talking to him and Bogdanovic when I was doing the thing on Inat, because Bogdanovic was just so eager and excited to talk about it, and Bjelica almost seemed offended that I had asked him this question. That I was asking him about it. It was really quite interesting, the difference in responses.
Yeah, I actually, my good friend is a friend of Nemanja Bjelica, if you believe me or not, whatever. and he told me he's just a guy that doesn't like media. To be honest. So I mean, he doesn't like talking to strangers. He has his small crew of guys. He lives in a part of Belgrade called New Belgrade, and he's just in the blocks over there with his friends every summer, and it's quite exclusive. I was thinking about it really, so this is what I have about it.
He's an elite company of hating the media, of which every NBA player also falls into that category. So, I mean, they genuinely hate when we come around. Okay.
Yeah, but I was surprised because your question was excellent. I mean, talking to an NBA guy about Inat, and he just wouldn't speak about it. It's
well, he made
crazy.
It seem as if he'd never heard the word at first, and I was like, I don't
know. Yeah, that's.
Sometimes it's about when you catch these guys too. Maybe it was coming off a bad practice or something.
No, it was a loss. It was after the game that they lost.
There you go.
But I had asked him before the game, and he said no. And so I was like, he's like, after the game we'll talk. And I'm like, well, now I gotta hope that the Kings win, I guess. So kind of fun.
Yeah, and Kings have the Serbian community over there. You have Vlade, you have Peđa Stojaković, you have Kokoškov, you have Nemanja, you have Bogdan. It's crazy out there. I mean, you can imagine how much we loved Kings in the early 2000s. It was crazy. Yeah. It was actually the first years we could actually have all the games of the finals or the conference finals live on our TV. So it was great. It was great. And I would love to have something similar in Denver, because the diehards are completely on Denver train, absolutely, but it's the diehards, really. It's I don't know. It's probably like 5,000 of us crazy about the Nuggets, and that's more or less it.
Well, why don't we take another break? We'll keep you on, Miroslav, and then on the other side, we have another guest waiting sort of in the wings. We'll bring him on as well, and we'll talk about this amnesty idea, and just kind of get your thoughts on it as we go. But first, we'll hit a break.
Yeah, so yesterday we did I did my DraftKings pick of the week. Went with the Kiwoom Heroes and our guy Eric Jokic.
Jokic, did he do it for us?
The Kiwoom Heroes 5-1 over the KT Wiz.
That's what I'm talking
They won
about.
And they covered.
Never bet against Jokic. Any Jokic. It doesn't matter if it's the Jokic.
Guys, but of course, DraftKings has brought legal sports betting to Colorado. You can bet on the KBO. We've got UFC coming up this weekend. I know. I'm now 2-1 in my DraftKings pick of the week.
Not bad.
Not bad. So you can download the DraftKings, the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now, and use code DNVR when you sign up. For a limited time, all new users can get a sign-up bonus up to $1,000. That's right, DraftKings Sportsbook has a sign-up bonus up to $1,000. And DraftKings is totally legit. Obviously, it's legal in Colorado. It's not one of those offshore accounts that you might have used in the past where you win money and then you're not exactly sure if you're actually going to get it back. You will, of course, with DraftKings, and don't forget to enter the code DNVR and get your sign-up bonus up to $1,000. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only. Bonus is comprised of a first deposit bonus and a first bet match, each up to $500. Deposit bonus requires a 25 times playthrough. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And of course, you guys can get 20% off Strava Craft Coffee as well when you use the code DNVR20 at StravaCraftCoffee.com. Hit it up.
Allie, can we bring in on Darwin? We got Darwin waiting there. Hey, Darwin, what's going on? Oh my God, look at this beard.
Yeah, it's getting wild, man.
I think I just spotted Bigfoot in the Pacific Northwest. I think I found him.
This is his home, so.
This is his home.
I'm not saying whether I'm him or not.
So, the topic we were talking about coming into the show was the idea of amnestying players, and we talked about, I don't know if they're going to bring this back. I feel like there's going to be something that happens to the league that they just have to be like, look, things have shifted so much that we can't keep going on how we are. We have to make some type of adjustments. Maybe it's amnesty, maybe it's something else. But Harrison has compiled an entire list of players that are, I wouldn't say likely, but to be amnestied, but it's possible they would be amnestied. It takes a player that makes a decent amount of money that you no longer has a role. So Harrison, let's go through this list, and we'll have our guests kind of tell us if they want them on the Nuggets.
So I've got a top 4 who are definitely going to be amnestied.
Wow.
I feel like that's where we
Right.
should start with the no-brainers. Nicholas Batum played 23 minutes per game this year for the Charlotte Hornets, averaged 3.5 points on 35% shooting from the field. He's due to make $27 million next year. Well, he has a player option for $27 million that I'm pretty sure he's going to pick up. So
Definitely.
that would be probably the number one amnesty possibility in the league. The 3 others that I think are sure things: Blake Griffin owed $72 million.
Let's go with Batum real quick.
Okay, I thought we were just. I didn't think Batum was.
Actually, give us all 4, then we can pick which ones people would take. Yeah, give us all 4. Blake
Okay,
Griffin.
So my number 2 is Blake Griffin, owed $72 million over the next 2 seasons, and then has a player option for $39 million.
Oh, jeez.
John Wall is owed $85 million over the next 2 years, $41.2 million next season, $44 million in 2021-22, and then has a player option for $47.3 million in 2022-23. And then my fourth guy, who I think is most likely to get amnestied, Al Horford, owed $27.5 million next year, $27 million the year after that, and then a team option, which he would get declined if he was still on the 76ers in 2022-2023. So those are my big four.
Has Horford been that bad this year?
He doesn't fit fit next to Embiid. And I think it's more about that than it is anything. But so, all right. So John Wall, Blake Griffin, Batum, and Horford. Darwin, what do you if you had to take one of them there, is there somebody on there that intrigues you?
Well, I remember Batum as like the gallows stopper.
Yeah, this was like 5 years ago, though. I think.
Life does get you fat sometimes in the NBA.
Right. But he's just, I don't know if it's the injuries or if it's playing in Charlotte. I mean,
well, that could be it too. Yeah.
He was really good in Portland, playing with Dame, LMA.
Yeah.
Like, he was an incredible complimentary three.
So here's one theory I have about Batum, and there's a handful of players that are like him. They were great right at the like beginning of positional versatility. It's like, oh, look at this guy. He can guard a bunch of positions, and he's a playmaker and this or that. But the NBA started developing more and more of those that were just better. And now it's like, well, we don't really need... Chandler Parsons is sort of another one of these where it's like, oh, he's tall, but he's a stretch four. And it's like,
all these guys got paid in the summer of 2016.
Exactly.
Yep.
And it's
Cap
like, okay,
spike.
turns out that there's a lot of stretch fours out there if you kind of mold them, but other guys can do more. So I think with Batum, he's like that. He doesn't... Once you kind of get what he is, you can scheme him and scheme out of him. So I think he's maybe not nearly as valuable as that contract.
Well, he's just also had a ton of injuries, too.
Yeah,
the injuries have been crazy.
I'm going to pull up his b-ball ref. Like, he used to be able to shoot, and now he can't shoot. And that seems like a big deal.
Yeah.
What do you think, Miroslav? Are you a fan of Batum?
Well, first thing I have to ask you, in case of amnesty, so the original team has to pay all that money.
Correct.
But what about the new team? They can sign them on minimum?
Sign him to whatever. Yeah.
To sign him to whatever.
Whatever.
I think you can. I think there is it like a waiver process, or does the player have free agency to join whatever team? I don't remember. Either way, it would be a cheap deal. He would be coming in on a cheap deal.
Well, if it is cheap, then Al Horford would be a great substitution for Millsap in case he doesn't want to stay in Denver, for a long time, like three years, 15 million or something like that.
Yeah, I've got to agree.
Yeah.
I think Al Horford out of these four guys is the clear pick for just best potential fit on the Nuggets, because he can be your backup five, which is probably the role he's going to ease into over the next couple of years.
He would be even better backup five than Mason Plumlee. Plumlee is a talented passer, but Horford is another level. So
Horford's super smart. I mean, I think that's as a basketball player, I think that's one of the main differences between him and Plumlee. Plumlee's not dumb, but
Would he come to Denver to play a backup role, though? He's like 33, 34.
That's old.
He can probably still start. Well,
he can't start
not with his game, though.
No,
it's like he's like Jokic light. He could go start on probably half the teams in the league and get paid more. Like, I just don't see why he comes to Denver unless he's chasing a ring.
So his birthday's
chasing the ring, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a piece of why he signed in Philly. Like, the money was big, obviously, and that's like why he left the Celtics, because Boston wasn't going to pay him that money. But I don't think he's in a stage where he's going to go to a bottom feeder. He's gotten paid enough, I feel like.
Look at this rotation that Beeston just showed us. Jokic, Grant, Horford. That's the best front court in the NBA.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, Horford would be a great fit. Yeah.
If he would be willing to do that. I was wondering the same thing about Marc Gasol, who's a free agent. I mean, Marc is a better player. Marc really is a start. I mean, he was he's a much more impactful player right now than Horford is.
Isn't Marc like super old now? How old's Marc Gasol?
I wouldn't say Marc is more valuable than Horford necessarily. I'd say they're about pretty similar.
But I was wondering if like Marc Gasol had a final act where he was like fine coming off the bench, mentoring Jokic a little, and just being like, you know what, in the playoffs.
I think he'd love it here. He'd love it in Denver.
Oh, I definitely think he would love it here as well. Maybe that's something like this happens. I don't know. I don't know if Marc Gasol's the type to do that. But
I would prefer Horford to Marc Gasol because I couldn't imagine Jokic and Gasol playing a single minute together.
That's a good
and
point.
Horford, it could do it,
Yeah,
bit.
definitely. That's a great
Yeah,
point.
Horford, Grant, and Jokic, those three could all play together in every single variation.
Yeah.
Where's
Yeah,
Bol in this rotation? Come on, we have to keep minutes open for my unicorn. Blake Griffin's an
Hey,
interesting.
he can play the 3.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe this is the
If MPJ is playing 2, why not put Bobo on 3?
the real long boys are here. Yeah, so Blake Griffin's an interesting one because I think Blake Griffin, weren't there some comments about how he wanted to be in Denver? Like he was, we lost Darwin. I think there was something about that a while back about how he really wanted to play with Jokic.
I think he might have had a comment about that, just kind of offhand,
Yeah.
And then again, who would not want to play with Jokic? I mean, if you're looking to continue your career, put up big numbers, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I don't think
If he wants to play for $5 million, bring him on.
Yeah, he's in that weird. Man, you talk about a weird career. Blake Griffin was a star, a superstar, like one of maybe the 5 most popular players when he was a Clipper and young early in his career. He got better as a player and less relevant. And then he goes to Detroit and it's like he doesn't even exist. So you never hear Blake Griffin talked about anymore at all.
It's like it's a reverse Dwight Howard situation, right?
Kind of a little bit, yeah. Now, I saw Alex Caruso was on the Zach Lowe podcast today, and I was just like, man, this is why guys want to go to the Lakers, because Alex Caruso gets to do national television and stuff and radio. So
I was shitting on Caruso all through last summer, but he dude has a game.
It's annoying because he's the one guy that was actually good from that whole crop of Lakers players. So
right. Straight facts, straight facts.
Who else was on that list? So we went through Batum, we went through Horford, we went through Blake. Oh, John Wall.
Wall, who is probably a non-starter for Denver.
Yeah,
it's because of Wall himself. He wouldn't want to come to play a backup point guard in Denver. So,
and I mean, who knows how Wall's going to look after the rehab and whatnot. He could still be a starter caliber player.
Yeah.
Derrick Rose gave the Pistons valuable minutes this year. Gave the Wolves valuable minutes last year. To some degree.
There's all these players that maybe can make this bad team better in a marginalized role after their injury or whatever. But I don't know if any of those guys are get you over the hump as a champion contender guys. I don't know.
Definitely.
That's a real weird role for them there. All right, so who are some other ones, Wind?
Oh yeah.
So another one I think we could talk about is Chris Paul. He is owed 41 million.
Are you on the
next
bandwagon,
season.
Miroslav? Are you on the Chris Paul bandwagon to Denver bandwagon?
Absolutely.
Right.
I would love Chris Paul. You know what?
Yeah.
You know what? I would give Jamal Murray for Chris Paul.
Oh wow.
Well, if you made that trade, Miroslav, you'd be paying Chris Paul $41 million next year, and then he has a $44 million player option for 2021-22.
No, throwing it all for one title.
Yeah, it's maybe worth it, man.
That's one more than what Nuggets have in their history.
So
facts.
So true. So what Miroslav is saying is the exact reason he will not be amnestied. Teams are willing to trade players for him. So as much as his contract is huge, there's a lot of teams that can talk themselves into him being the difference. Yeah. And I think in Denver's case, it really might be. Not only here's what I think about Chris Paul. Not only do I think he would make the Nuggets really good and a legitimate contender, I just think it would be so much fun. I think it might be the best version of Jokic that we would get is alongside Chris Paul. And that's part of why I want to see it so badly.
Yeah. I think a big reason for that is because Jamal Murray is a very good starting point guard, but he's not a classic pick and roll point guard. And really, Jokic hasn't played with one of those guys. Who's the closest of those guys he's played with? Jameer Nelson?
Yeah,
I mean, Monte to an extent, but maybe Jameer Nelson just in terms of being able to get him the ball.
And he was so good with Jameer. So good. So efficient. It was.
I think, for sure. I wonder if you could pull off a deal that netted you Chris Paul without giving up Murray or MPJ. But it did cost you every ounce of flexibility for the next 4 years. To me, that's the real question. First of all, I think you have to be willing to pay a tax if you're the Kroenkes for that, and who knows? I mean, probably not. But then second, you would have to be willing to part with. If you're OKC and you have all these offers from other people, and you get Gary Harris, you get Torrey Craig, you get Bol, maybe you get Thrill as well, and you get like all these first round draft picks. So you have like they right now just have an arsenal of things, like a war chest of assets to be able to use on things. If you can add Bol, 2 more first round draft picks, and Gary Harris, who's a good, who's going to play for you, and maybe like a Barton or something else, maybe they go for it. And maybe if you're Denver, you say, you know what, we'll never have a better chance than if we get all of these things to go right, and maybe they will.
And also, they would have to play MPJ.
They'd have to. Yes, exactly. They'd be forced to.
So it's a win-win situation, really.
Wins all around.
But what about? Ask Rockets and Clippers and to some extent Hornets fans or Pelicans or whatever about his annual like May injury or April
Chris
injury. Yeah, like.
Well, that
no,
would be.
That's the gamble you take.
You have to gamble on something, and if you're gambling on 35-year-old Chris Paul and Michael Porter to both hold up for a whole season, like this is Nuggets, man. That's the gamble you have to take. It's a huge gamble.
Nug life,
Nug life, man. Indeed. What else we got, Harrison?
So another point guard here. This is an interesting one. Russell Westbrook. And the Rockets could be maybe forced into something like this with their ownership, but let me just read you off his contract. Owed $41 million next year, $44 million in 2022, and has a player option for $47 million in 2023. I would think about it.
I don't see the fit.
Money is not an issue here. It's not the money.
Well,
Denver has enough non-shooters right now.
Yeah. His speed though is interesting with Jokic, because I do think there's something to like. He gets a running start on a cut, and he's going to beat his man off of that. So I think Jokic would hit him for a lot of off-ball action. I don't even think the question is his non-shooting. I think it's his willingness to play the role that would be best suited to play with Jokic, which is a much reduced ball-in-your-hands role. And I don't think in any situation he would. He went to Houston, and this team has really molded themselves around his skill set rather than James Harden's.
I don't think he's a fit in Denver either.
Oh, he would be a very fun. Look, there would be a lot of fun basketball, but there'd also be a lot of frustrating basketball. Do we have one more?
What about Kevin Love? The guy that everybody always wants to trade to Denver. What if he could just sign with the Nuggets on the cheap?
If he was on the cheap, I'm all for it. Are you kidding? That would be another one that's so fun. But again,
he's owed $93 million over the next 3 years.
If he's in the backup role, if he's in the Trey Lyles role, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I don't know if he takes that role though.
I don't think he takes it.
One position Denver really needs is a guy that will not let Denver be completely destroyed in the playoffs when Jokic goes out of the field. So it's just that one guy they need. So Chris Paul, perfect.
That's him. Yeah. All right, Nuggets, get on it. We gotta get you. We gotta get you to go. All right,
easy.
So Darwin, you have already competed in the steps. Mm-hmm. But you can be an advisor today. You can be an advisor to the homie Miroslav, who is going to make his first attempt at climbing the steps. Your Denver Nuggets history doesn't necessarily go back that far, Miroslav, does it?
Not really, although Denver Nuggets used to have other Serbian players before, like Rastko Cvetkovic and Predrag Savovic. Though those guys didn't play a lot, so nobody remembers them. But I Googled that, so in your questions, bring it on.
Okay, all right. Well, hopefully we have a few questions about those guys, but I'm not so certain.
Of course.
All right, let's get the pressure cooker going here. Question number 1. These are courtesy of Brendan Vogt. I haven't even looked at them, to be honest with you.
Oh God.
What? Oh my God. What? I don't know if I should just spot everybody the first question, because Brendan Vogt has in here, which Nuggets player uses the blue arrow celebration, and his answer is Will Barton. So Brendan made the questions and he got his own question wrong.
I had that question in there literally on Tuesday, I think.
Yeah, I don't know what happened here, so we're gonna go straight to number 2.
So should I?
Okay. Should you what?
Bye.
Okay, all right. Question number 2.
Should I just make up?
I think the funny thing is, I feel like so many of these questions we go back to again. I'm gonna have to start making the questions. Where did Michael Porter Jr. attend college? Definitely think we've had this one, maybe twice.
I answered it. So let me know if you need help, Miroslav.
Okay, I will use Darwin as help for this.
Mizzou.
Do you agree?
Yes, I agree.
Okay. That is correct. Number 3, who is the play-by-play announcer on the local altitude broadcast?
It's Chris Marlowe.
That is correct. Knows as Chris Marlowe. Number 4, who are the 3 centers on the Denver Nuggets roster?
Okay, so
3
it's
of them.
Nikola Jokic, Mason Plumlee, and our boy Bol Bol.
Our boy Bol Bol. That is correct. What do you think of Miroslav? What do you think of Bol Bol? What little I mean, you know as much as the rest of us, really. You've seen the video clips or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say because, his father used to play in a very, very different era of basketball, and they were kind of similar, but I don't know. If he just has the body to stay in the league for next 10 years or so, it's going to be great.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's a great option.
If he can get on the court, he's a player, man. He is
that's a great
player.
way to put it. If he can get on the court, he's a player, 100%. We might have lost Miroslav. Oh no! Darwin might have to take over for him. He was doing so well.
He was doing great.
Oh no!
He might come back. I mean, my computer froze like a couple seconds ago.
Let's see if we can get him back. In the meantime, you can do a guest answer for him. Where did Mason Plumlee attend college?
Oh, fuck.
Oh god! This is an easy one.
We've definitely had this one before too.
Yeah, no, it's totally an easy one. Duke.
That is correct. All right, we got it. We are at the. Oops, I screwed up my. We are at the break here. Man, I guess we can't ask. Miroslav isn't here to answer whether or not he wants to keep going, so I guess we're going to force him to keep going.
Uh-oh.
Your internet.
Sorry,
drops out.
Miroslav.
You're
Oh,
out
wait,
here.
here he is.
He's back.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
It's my battery. This was the fastest running for charger ever.
Okay. Well, you got number 5 right, so congrats. Ooh, number 6. I love that we're asking Miroslav a bunch of questions about colleges.
Wait.
Thank you,
gonna
Brendan.
give him the option to take the sticker pack or not?
Do you want to? Would you rather have the sticker pack or keep going?
It is a big question because it would be so costly for you guys to send me sticker packs.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's go for the t-shirt.
That's how much we care about our members.
That is how much we care about Miroslav. All right, number 6. Where did former Nugget Malik Beasley play college?
I got you if you need help.
I know it's a good college, but I don't remember. Darwin, please help.
Oh, it's an okay college.
Good at football 30 years ago. It's Florida State.
That is correct. That is
that's not
correct.
good.
This next one I have to amend because I'm not sure if it's accurate. How many brothers does Mason Plumlee have that played in the NBA?
2.
Hey, good. You got it right. That is correct.
It's an old question.
That is definitely an old question.
See, if you watch the show,
Bring them on.
there's
Bring
a
them
good
on.
chance you can advance far in the steps.
Yeah, I'm counting on it.
Number 8. Which team did the Denver Nuggets beat in the second round of the 2009 playoffs?
Oh, 2009.
Great comment. 2009. We did the.
Oh, no.
It's battery. Oh no, we're gonna have our first player ever fail the steps because of battery reasons.
Oh, whoa, I got him.
Oh no, Miroslav.
It's the Mavs.
Well, it's
So.
definitely the Mavs, but I think we can't. We have a 2
Wait.
striker out policy.
Oh.
Oh,
What if I
Miroslav.
just keep going and then we send Miroslav? If we win.
You know what? I'll let you
Miroslav
have this
gets
last
the-
one. Next, we'll have a 3 strikes out policy. Number 9.
Oh, yes.
Number 9. Which former Nuggets coach once wrapped the game plan to his team? This is a great question.
Great question. Easy answer. Brian Shaw.
That is correct.
Brian Shaw. Have you guys heard his raps from the 90s?
No way.
Dude, like, low-key has bars. Like, he's not... Yeah, I know he, like, was... He was awful
This
here.
is a take for sure. This is a take.
This is definitely a take. A take has been shared.
I need to amend that. The beat he was rapping on was good. He does not have bars.
Well, this is a very different. This is a very different answer. All right, number 10. This is for us to mail a shirt all the way to Serbia. Number 10.
Okay, we got you.
Is he back on? Or he's back on. Number 10. Who did the Denver Nuggets trade with on draft night to acquire the rights to draft Bol? The tough one. You don't get a T-shirt for nothing, man. These are tough. Great job, Brendan, by making number 10 tough, so we don't have to pay shipping.
Was it Chicago?
Oh, they're out of here.
Didn't even wait for a final answer. He's out of here.
Well, we had to go. We were up against the wall. But that was fun, man. That was great. Darwin, special thanks to Darwin. Special thanks to Miroslav.
It was the Miami Heat.
It was the Miami Heat that they traded with. We were already recording a show, and the announcement came, and it was like, oh, crap, the Nuggets, I guess they are taking a player. Such a random one. Thanks to everybody who participated in this week's show, guys. We really want this show to, involve everybody and to bring a little bit of, like, joy and lightness into your life. And I know basketball isn't happening right now, but we still get to hang out with each other and hopefully bring some positivity, especially right now. I know our home state of Colorado, our home city of Denver is obviously with a little bit of unrest, but I'm glad that we got to spend this hour here talking to everybody and just kind of going through with this. So thanks to everybody that participated. Stay safe this weekend, everybody, and try to do good. Try to bring a little positivity to everybody in your life. Harrison, anything before we hop out?
I think you put it well. Let's stay positive. Let's stay safe, and let's have a fun and enjoyable weekend.
And go check out the DNVR bar, open from 4 in the afternoon till 2 a.m. Open late. I'll probably be there, I think maybe tonight or tomorrow. We'll find out. But everybody else, have a great weekend. We'll see ya.